In the Marvel Universe, the Eternal known as Icarus has been around for a very long time, hundreds of thousands of years in fact, but to many comic fans he's still something of a mystery. This is everything you need to know about Icarus from Eternals. Perhaps the most important thing about Icarus is that he isn't just any other Eternal, he's a so-called Prime Eternal. But that hasn't always been the case. After the godlike Kronos' fateful experiments with cosmic energy leaves his mind separated from his body, his two sons, Zorus and Alaz, fight a conflict over the future of the Eternals. When Zorus wins, Alaz leaves for Jupiter's moon Titan, where he will later become father to Thanos. Then, after the remaining Eternals form the collective Eternal consciousness known as the Unimind, it chooses Zorus to be the Prime Eternal. Zorus is later killed in battle with the Celestials, and Thena is selected as the new Prime Eternal. In 1986's Eternals issue 9, after Ikaris accuses Thena of treason over her loyalty to her deviant lover Crow, Thena passes on the role of Prime Eternal to Ikaris. Being the Prime Eternal means more than getting a fancy title though. Among other things, whoever is named Prime Eternal is given the privilege of initiating the formation of the Unimind, an act that has saved both the Eternals and Earth on more than one occasion. Icarus boasts a wide array of abilities, including impressive super strength and durability. He expertly wields cosmic energy that's often seen blasting from his eyes, and he can manipulate this ability in various ways. Unsurprisingly, these powers serve him well in battle. In 1977's Eternals issue 14, issue 15, Icarus goes toe-to-toe with a cosmic-powered robot designed to look, act, and display powers similar to the Incredible Hulk. While not the real deal, the cosmic-powered Hulk robot is no pushover. And on top of that, Icarus has faced all kinds of similarly powerful challenges over the years. Similar to the other Eternals, Icarus can fly, and while they aren't his most used abilities, he's also been shown to have both the capacity to teleport and use some low-level psychic powers. If you're familiar with the world of ancient myth, then you've probably already guessed that the name Icarus is inspired by Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun. And in a mid-80s Marvel miniseries, the connection between Icarus and Icarus became much more literal. In Greco-Roman myth, Icarus is the son of Daedalus, a genius forced by King Minos to design a labyrinth to contain the terrifying Minotaur. When King Minos imprisons Daedalus and his family so that the secret of the labyrinth can never be revealed, Daedalus constructs his own flying machines out of bird feathers and wax. Upon their escape, Daedalus warns his son not to fly too close to the sun, but Icarus ignores him, and when the wax of Icarus's flying contraption melts, he plummets to his death. In 1986's Eternals issue 5, it's revealed that in the Marvel Universe, the Eternal Icarus was actually the inspiration for this story. Centuries ago, Icarus had a son named Icarus. One day, believing his father to be imprisoned by deviants, Icarus attempted to use a mechanical flying device to find his father. Like the Icarus of myth, the boy flew too high and eventually fell to his death. After learning of his son's fate, the Eternal named himself Icarus to honor his fallen child. One of the X-Men's most infamous villains is Apocalypse, who first shows up using that name in 1986's X-Factor issue 5. It's since been revealed that Apocalypse had faced a number of heroes before he met any of the X-Men, however. For example, he fought a younger Thor in 2013's Uncanny Avengers issue 6, and at one point he even faced off against Icarus and the Eternals. In the 2000 one-shot New Eternals Apocalypse Now, the evil mutant unleashes his latest sordid scheme. Icarus and Apocalypse don't meet face-to-face until toward the end of the story. But when they do, it's suggested that they're actually old enemies. The details are left a little murky, but Icarus refers to the villain as En-Sabanur, suggesting their last encounter was centuries ago, when Apocalypse was better known by that name. Icarus also claims that he'd believed Apocalypse had died in their last meeting. At first, that might not seem like much of a reveal. After all, as a popular Marvel Comics villain, Apocalypse is legally required to die and be resurrected every few years. But the fact that Icarus and his brethren so thoroughly defeated Apocalypse as to believe him dead proves just how formidable these heroes can be.
Who do you think's gonna lead the Avengers?
I could lead them.
Since the Eternals tend to live separate from humanity, it's perhaps understandable that some of them aren't exactly thrilled to be sharing the Earth with humans. Consequently, some Eternals aren't quite as dedicated to their safekeeping as they should be. Icarus, however, has always done everything he can to defend humankind. Ever since ancient times, Icarus has gone above and beyond to protect the people of Earth. From his guidance of Noah's Ark to safety all the way up to his allegiance with the Avengers, Icarus has always advocated for the humans, despite having advanced beyond them in many ways. This is why when most of the Eternals leave Earth after their battle with the inhuman villain Maelstrom, Icarus is one of the few selected by the Uni-Mind to stay behind and continue to use his powers to protect those who can't protect themselves. The idea of a superhero taking on a relatively mundane job is nothing new. Spider-Man has been a photographer, Daredevil has been a lawyer, and the godlike Superman has enjoyed a thriving career as a reporter for the Daily Planet. Regardless, it still feels like kind of a shock that the 1985 Eternals miniseries finds the noble and powerful Icarus working as a professional wrestler. In 1985's Eternals issue 1, it becomes apparent that Icarus has joined the ranks of Marvel's Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation as Ike the Iceberg Harris. The issue even shows him in action in his wrestling digs, and judging by the applause and cheers, this is hardly Iceberg's first time in the ring. Of course, it's eventually revealed Icarus didn't join the UCWF because he enjoys hitting people with folding chairs. In fact, Icarus has been climbing the UCWF's ranks for the chance to take on the wrestler Enigmo, who's actually Cataphracts the Mighty, a deviant villain in disguise. The UCWF was one of the more prominent Marvel fictional organizations in the 1980s. Along with Icarus, a number of other heroes have joined and wrestled in the UCWF, though the most prominent was none other than Ben Grimm. Icarus and the other Eternals claim the distinction of starring in one of the few comic books that Neil Gaiman has written for Marvel Comics. Comic book-wise, Gaiman is best known for his groundbreaking DC Vertigo Sandman series, though he's written a few projects for Marvel too. In 2003, he wrote 1602, which introduced early 17th century European versions of most of Marvel's most popular heroes. Then, after Marvel acquired the rights to Miracle Man, Gaiman wrote subsequent issues for the long-lost character. And in 2006, he teamed up with the legendary artist John Romita Jr. to bring to life another dormant property, the Eternals. The Mid-Ord's Eternals miniseries begins with each of the godlike beings stripped of their memories and living as ordinary humans. The speedster Makari, for example, is living as Mark Curry, a med student. Cersei is a party organizer, Thena is a scientist working for Stark Industries, and Zorus is an alcoholic homeless man. It's eventually revealed that their memories have been stripped by the mischievous Sprite. But before that becomes clear, it's Icarus who sets out to find the Eternals and reawaken their old memories. A few years later, the Eternals fell to a horrible fate, and Icarus was the last of them to survive. When Avengers relaunched in 2018, it was led by a storyline involving the Dark Celestials, a group of evil cosmic beings. After the corpses of the true Celestials fall to Earth, the Avengers set out on a quest that ultimately reveals a dark secret about the Eternals, humanity, and the Celestials themselves. When Iron Man travels to the Eternals' home of Olympus hoping to get some more information about what has happened, he instead finds a massacre. The only living Eternal he finds is Icarus. And even then, the Prime Eternal doesn't survive for long. Icarus stays alive just long enough to reveal that his people erupted into madness when they learn their true purpose. Essentially, the Dark Celestials meant for humanity to act as a virus against an army of insect-like monsters called the Horde. And the Eternals were meant to cultivate that virus and get humanity ready for the harvesting. Before he succumbs to his wounds, Icarus gives Iron Man access to the Uni-Mind, which the Avengers are later able to use to defeat the Dark Celestials. In 2021, the Eternals returned for the 5th volume of their eponymous series. This story finds Icarus and his immortal compatriots brought back from the dead. They are eternal after all. Set loose in a battle against Thanos, Icarus is killed and rebirthed again, and only then discovers the horrible truth of the Eternals' immortality, that they're resurrected at the cost of human lives. Unable to end this process without endangering the Earth, the Eternals set out to solve their problem, leading them into a fragile alliance with their old enemies, the Deviants. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about Marvel Comics are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.